and maybe you give us like a couple of your better prospects, and we'll trade you my Trout.
Drive into left. At the wall. It's gone. Tie game.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Throwing Partners Podcast. It's Kirby, Joe, and Nate here, coming to you on our usual Sunday night. It's been one heck of a week for the Braves, and not the best way possible. So I really don't have a ton of nice things to say. I do have some positives though, because we're still only 8 games into the season. So Joe, if you would like to go ahead and start with some more positive things, I'll let you do that, and then Nathan will give some Tigers updates, and then I'll talk a little bit briefly, not very long, about the Braves. So Joe, you can have at it.
Well, I don't have very many positives either. I do have some, given that the Astros did take a series from the Minnesota Twins after a miraculous comeback, down 7-1 after 5 today. But before this series against the Twins, the Astros played abysmally against the San Francisco Giants at home. Um, I was actually at the first 2 games of that series. The third one was a day game, so I was at work, and that is how I got the tickets to the first 2. So wasn't gonna get tickets that way again. Um, the only good thing I have to say about the game on Monday was the fact that I sat in the Diamond Club section and Jose Altuve waved at me. Other than that, the Astros played like crap. The Astros played absolutely horrible. They got absolutely carved up by Jordan Hicks, native Houstonian. And, I was hoping for a repeat of Ronel Blanco Magic for the first start of the season where I'm in attendance because last year when that happened, he threw a no-hitter. That was not the case on Monday. So it was a pretty poor performance from the Astros offense overall. And then they follow that up again with another poor performance on Tuesday and Wednesday. They scored a total of 6 runs in that entire series over a 3-game series. I believe after that homestand against the Mets and the Giants, they only had a total of 4 extra base hits. Now, I'm pretty sure after today's game, they have doubled that number in Minnesota alone. So again, the offense at home is absolutely abysmal. There is something wrong with their approach at home, just the way that they take at bats, and their lack of ability to go gap to gap, which we had no problem doing here in Minnesota during this series. In the first and the last game of the series, there were no problems hitting extra base hits because, as I mentioned, they doubled their extra base hit total. Now, in that second game of the series in Minnesota, the kind of offense that we were kind of used to seeing in San Francisco and against the Mets that was really lackluster showed up, and the Astros, I believe, were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And
familiar.
I don't even think that they were 1 for 9. I think they were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. I don't exactly remember. It was a really bad number. They left 11 runners on base, and they were not able to produce at all when runners came on. Yordan Alvarez the team as a whole was 1 for 10, so I wasn't too far off with runners in scoring position. Yordan Alvarez, outside of today, has not looked very good at the plate so far this season. He has looked like one of the worst hitters in the league. He's been getting blown away by fastballs. He has not been able to lay off of pitches, low and in the dirt, and neither is Christian Walker. And that's kind of been where the Astros' problem has been, because Altuve and Paredes have been getting on base in front of him, in front of both of them, for them to be able to then go ahead and drive in runs. But when you have Alvarez, Walker, and Diaz, all 3 of them not producing, it's not been getting set up well for the rest of the lineup, because those are the guys that are supposed to be producing for you. That's why they're in the meat of the lineup. Now, Pena, Rogers, Smith, and Myers have all been kind of producing. They've been producing above expectation. Now Cam Smith has struggled a little bit, but I still like the process of the way that he takes at bats. I think that he's being a little too patient at the moment, but he's taking really good pitches. He hasn't expanded the zone too much. I think we saw him kind of expand the zone a little bit in the last game that he played. He got the day off today, so I believe that was Saturday's game that he expanded a little bit. But other than that, I think that his at bats have been perfectly fine for a kid that has only played, I believe, less than 35 minor league games. So I think that he's fine. I think people need to calm down. He's still a rookie. He's still learning, but the process for him at the plate has been good. He's been playing really good defense. He's been showing off his arm, which is great. He almost threw out a runner at home, getting an outfield assist in that first game of the Twins series. I was really excited to see that. Or no, that was a Giant series, I believe. But he's looked good on defense, and he's going to keep getting opportunities because Zach DeZenzo hasn't been producing either, and neither has Chas McCormick. So some things were a little encouraging. You were looking really negatively at this Minnesota Twins series before you got to the fifth inning, or after you got past the fifth inning today. Ronel Blanco laid a fat egg to start. He got less than 5 outs. Josh Hader got 6 to close the game. So, you were really down on the Astros as a team, um, before they kind of battled back. So it was great to see them fight back because I honestly think that that's something that they lacked the ability of doing last year. But I am a little bit concerned about Ronel Blanco. This is the second start in a row that he hasn't pitched very well. Now, on Monday's start, he didn't pitch horribly. He went 5, gave up 3 runs. It was the same line as Hayden Wesneski, pretty much. But Hayden Wesneski is a rookie, and he was making his first start as an Astro. Again, another native Houstonian. Ronel Blanco, at this point, should be prepared. Now, I know that they were talking about it on the broadcast today that he is used to pitching winter ball, and that sometimes it takes him a little bit of time to get ramped up into a place where he feels comfortable, and he may still be going through that right now, and it may be a little bit further into the season until we finally start seeing it click with him. And if he can honestly give us half of what he did last year, I'll be fine with that. But the fact that he was only able to get 5 outs today was a little bit concerning. The bullpen was used heavily, which is why I believe his name is Hayden Van Wy is being called up to meet the team in Seattle. I think it's
It's got a weird spelling.
Yeah, it's Hayden or Logan or something. I know the player. He pitched really good in spring, but he's getting called up. He's meeting the team in Seattle. I believe that Ryan Gosto will probably be getting sent down, or Luis Contreras, because they both have options, and they both pitched, I believe, 3 innings each the last 2 days. So I look to see what he can do, making his Astros debut sometime during the Seattle series. But the bullpen has been tested outside of, Rafael Montero and Luis Contreras. I think the bullpen has been fine. Josh Hader and Brian Abreu still scare me when they come in, but they've been effective. The Astros starting rotation outside of Ronel Blanco has been fine. Spencer looked great through 3 in his second outing, which was the middle game of the Twins series. Then he got touched up. He had a real problem getting ahead of hitters, which put him behind in counts. So I look to see him make that adjustment. I think that he will be fine as well. Hunter Brown looked absolutely dominant in his start against the Twins. He looked like the staff ace. So him and Fromber are going to pair up nicely. And if Spencer Arrighetti can figure out a way to get ahead of hitters and then put them away with one of the several pitches that he has that are absolutely disgusting, then I think the Astros will be fine because their pitching is really good. Now, their offense is what really concerns me because there are some glaring stats. They've already struck out, I believe, 5. They've already struck out 10 times in a single game 5 times. They've only played 9 games. So that is really alarming to me. The fact that they are also bottom 3 in the league in expected batting average, expected slug, and expected WOBA. is also really concerning. They also have an insane ground ball percentage. They don't have a very high hard hit percentage either. They're kind of middle of the road, and they're not barreling the ball up at a very good clip either. So I'm very concerned about the way that this Astros offense is going to continue to progress, because it's really concerning the fact that they're not lifting the baseball at all. They're depending on getting the ball through the infield most of the times, and I think that 9 out of 10 times is not going to work, which is why we see them struggle so much with runners in scoring position with one out, because a lot of the times the ball's on the ground, the defense is playing back, and they're turning a double play. And that's the main reason. They're also not, before today, they weren't really hitting the ball gap to gap. They were hitting the balls, straight to the outfielders, going station to station. And again, then, leading to balls on the ground, turning double plays that end the inning or kill a rally. So I am a little bit concerned about the offense, but I'm still a little bit pleased about the way that they have gone about taking their at-bats. Isak Paredes has been huge. He's a walk machine. He's missed a home run at least 4 different times because his hands are so quick. He just needs to slow them down a tad, and he could probably already have 4 home runs on the season if it weren't for the fact that his hands were so fast getting to that inside pitch. So I do think that he is still going to be huge for us, and I think that there is hope to see the Astros offense come around, but just a little bit of some early season trends that I'm seeing that are a bit of a concern to me at the moment.
Well, Joe, the Braves have had this very similar offensive woes so far, which sucks because their pitching staff also has not been great. Nathan, do you mind if I go ahead and give a quick Braves update? It ain't going to be long, I promise.
Tigers update?
Do
you want to do your Braves update? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try to speak some positivity. First of all, their game got banged today, so they couldn't lose today, which was kind of nice. So I didn't have to spend my Sunday miserable. Second, with that being said, today's game getting canceled was supposed to be Sandy Alcantara. So with that being said, we didn't have to face Sandy, which was great. It also got rescheduled for August 9th. So there is a chance that when that doubleheader is played, Sandy might not even be on the Marlins. There's a good chance he gets traded at the deadline. So I'm trying to think positively about the whole situation because, for one, we didn't have to lose today, and two, we may not have to face Sandy. So that was kind of nice. But this week in Braves country was not a great one by any means. They finally got a win, which is great. That happened Friday night. We saw Spencer Swellenbach have a fantastic start. He went 8 innings, had 10 Ks. He looked phenomenal. He looks like the staff ace, which I believe by the end of the year he will be. He will be the staff ace. And it's really sad too, because he's like one of 2 guys that are actually playing well right now. And he might be one of 2 guys that actually make the All-Star team. Which sucks even more because obviously the All-Star game is in Atlanta this year. But he looks great. He looks healthy. He looks strong. And he just looks so confident up there, even as just in his sophomore season. But before that, we got swept in LA by the Dodgers, which really sucked. Game 1 wasn't great by any means. Game 2, they were in and probably should have won. They lost 3-1. Game 3, they got walked off by Shohei on his bobblehead night. The MLB scriptwriters couldn't have scripted it any better. It was exactly what they wanted, and they got it. I'm going to tell you right now, if Drake Baldwin would have hit that same ball, that ball would have been caught probably at the warning track. But knowing Shohei hit it, that ball is going to travel. It was so bad. I was like, come on. Like, can we walk the guy? Can we put him on? I'd rather pitch to Betts, personally. But anyway, so they had an 0-7 road trip. They got the day off Thursday. They came home Friday and actually took care of business. They looked great on Friday. They won 10-0. The offense looked great. We hit well with runners in scoring position, which we have not done well all year except for that game. And then they proceeded to go on Saturday and get shut out by the Marlins and Cal Quantrill. which just absolutely sucked. Austin Riley right now looks absolutely lost up there, just like how you were talking about Jordan looking bad up until today. That's exactly how Austin Riley has looked. He has looked awful. But like I said, I wasn't going to be so negative about it because there are some highlights. I've already talked about Spencer Schwellenbach being fantastic, which he was. But they've had 3 really good hitters this week. You've had Michael Harris. He had a great week. Had a WRC plus of 206. Had a great slash line this week. And the same with Marcell Ozuna and Matt Olson. Marcell Ozuna is running like this historic walk rate right now because nobody wants to pitch to him because right after him is nobody. So, yeah, I would walk him too and then just pitch to the next guy because he's probably not going to hurt you that bad. Riley has got to come around. They actually dropped him to the 5 hole, which in the past, if you drop him in the order, he typically starts to play better. I'm going to need to see that happen ASAP because I am sick and tired of seeing that dude up there struggling. And he looks lost as a goose. He looks horrible. I hate it for him too because I know he's up there working hard. But boy, it's rough to watch. And it's really rough too because their bottom 4 between Brian De La Cruz and Baldwin, who is a rookie, I'll cut him some slack. He actually hits the ball hard, and he has a great approach. He takes a lot of pitches. He looks fantastic overall as far as his approach. And then you've got either Orlando Arcia or Nick Allen. And then you've got Jared Kelenic. Now, I'm going to say this. I think in about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, when Ronnie comes back, I really think that they send Kelenic down or they DFA him. Because he has played terribly. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. You've actually seen some really good play from Stuart Fairchild, who they just acquired not too long ago. So I wouldn't be surprised for the Braves to keep Fairchild up or to keep him on the roster and actually option Kelenic. So other than that, this week for the Braves may not be great either because they play the Phillies at home. The Phillies look great right now. The Braves obviously don't. So I'm interested to see how it goes. You're going to have Chris Sale in the first game, Grant Holmes in the second game, and you're going to have Schwellenbach in the third game. So it looks to me like we may go 1-3 in the series and just win this Schwellenbach start. Would I love to see them sweep the Phillies? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. That's my whole Braves update. Like I said, there's not a lot of great things to say, but we are only 8 games into the season, but it looks really bad when you start off 1-7. So anyway, Nathan, go ahead.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to build upon what I said last week. Last week at this same time, we were 0-3. Okay? And y'all remember what I said. We were not in panic mode yet. We played 6 games this week. We went 5-1.
Yeah.
And honestly, the offense looked fantastic. We had some pretty underwhelming starts and pitching performances in general, especially against the Mariners. We had a 5-run inning, I believe, against the Mariners on last Monday. So it was looking less than optimal. Thankfully, we scored 6 runs in the first inning, ended with 9. And took that game from Seattle. So took 2 from Seattle, took 3 from the Sox, including today's walk-off by the man, the myth, the legend, Spencer Torkelson. I think he's back.
Well,
so yeah, he had a torque bomb, I think on Friday it was, and today, yeah, walk-off double into the left field corner. It was a good ending to the game. To continue speaking about our offense, Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green are both hitting over 350 right now. Riley looks incredibly hot, and on top of that, Kerry Carpenter this weekend in the White Sox series had 3 homers in 2 games. He hit 2 on Friday. Was close to a third one. And yesterday, he had a solo bomb. So our 3 guys are looking real good. And then we have our our regular utility guys and regular role players. We have Trey Sweeney. Trey Sweeney has been in there getting a bunch of good at bats. He had a double and a triple yesterday, I believe. Both base hits into the gap at Comerica. Dylan Dingler, funny name.
What a name!
This dude's been on fire, and honestly, he's about as good as Jake Rogers behind the dish now. So I think they're 1A, 1B again, with Dylan Dingler having the better bat. Who else? Justin Henry Malloy, he had a couple good at-bats over the weekend. I believe yesterday's game he had a couple walks and a couple hits. Baez today had to give a shout out to Javier Baez. Javier Baez went 3 for 4 today. That is an improvement. It doesn't matter who we're playing.
Nathan,
So needless to say,
question?
go ahead.
Can you tell me the rationale behind Baez playing center today for his first career appearance out there? What is going on with Baez? Obviously, he's got 3 years left on that deal.
Yes. Yeah. I think AJ's just trying to take advantage of him in any way that we can. Obviously, we still have a hole in center field there with Parker Meadows being out. What's his name? Kreidler. He's Ryan Kreidler. He's not doing the best at the plate right now. He's okay in center field. As far as I know, he's primarily an infielder, and they brought him back up to the bigs to play center field. So, I think if I remember correctly, Javi had played a little bit of outfield in the minors before the Cubs brought him up. Primarily, he was playing infield when he was with the Cubs, and with us usually. So, I think AJ is just trying to take advantage of what he brings in the field. He's looked pretty good in the field. I think 2 years ago he led the league in errors, but so far at third, at short, he's looked pretty solid, making great throws across the diamond, not missing any balls. So I think AJ's just he's doing a little bit of the chaos. All right, we had pitching chaos last year. This year we have the base running chaos and the fielding chaos. I think he's taking advantage of people being able to play multiple positions, and of course recovering for injuries. So Baez, Ibanez, Trey Sweeney, Zach McKinstry, Colt Keith, all those guys are going to be moving in and out of the outfield, or moving in and out of the infield, in different positions. The hot corner, second, short, first. I think Colt Keith will continue to play a little bit of first when he's playing over Torque, which, I mean, as far as I know right now, it's not going to be many games. So I think that's what's going on there. As far as pitching goes, Tarek Skubal is the unluckiest 0-2 that I've ever seen personally. In the game against Seattle, he had 2 runners on in the third, and we were leading. And there was a play, a ground ball to second. Colt Keith stuttered trying to make a throw to second to make a play, wasn't there, and turned and looked at first. He was too late on the throw. And then that subsequently allowed Victor Robles to come to the plate and hit a 2-run double off of Skubal before ending the inning. So in that game as well, we had Seattle down to the wire and just did not have a timely hit to take the lead. So Skubal ended up taking that loss, in which I don't know if I would necessarily credit that loss to him. That was an error that definitely allowed those 2 runs to come across. Jackson Jobe, he hasn't looked the best so far. He got beat around a little bit by Seattle. By LA. and he got beat around a little bit by the Sox today. He looked a little sloppy in the first few innings, let the Sox put up 3 runs on him. He wasn't locating his fastball that well, his changeup, his cutter. He looked pretty sloppy in the first couple innings. I think Feder came out, gave him a nice little talk, and the third and the fourth, he looked pretty good. So he's still adjusting. We'll see how our Rookie of the Year predictions go, and our Cy Young at this rate, because Scooble is 0-2. So the Tigers are looking good with today's sweep over the White Sox. We are now in first place in the division. So we went from 0-3 to 5-4 and leading the division. So I'm looking forward to playing the Yankees and the Twins next week. Get another rivalry win. So we'll see how that goes.
I would love to have 5 wins personally. The Braves have one. We have less than the Rockies. Yep. I don't know if I'm pretty sure they have 2 wins. We have 1 win. I don't really even know how that's possible. But anyway, what else do we want to talk about tonight, gentlemen?
Well, I'd like to talk about how the Chicago Cubs offense has looked absolutely incredible with Kyle Tucker at the helm leading them.
Yep.
I've never seen that dude get off to a fast start in my life. And for some reason, he just is having the best start of his career when he's not on the Astros. I mean, the Cubs offense has scored a league-high 77 runs, which I find very impressive. But they've also allowed the 3rd most runs, and are only behind the Brewers, who played the Yankees in the first series of the season, and the Athletics. So they have scored 77 runs and they have allowed 56 runs. So their pitching can obviously make some adjustments, use some tweaking, because they are 7-5 and their offense is probably played like they should be 8-1 or 9-1, like the Dodgers, or the Giants. So look for Chicago to probably make some moves, either at the deadline or before the deadline, to make sure that they're starting rotation and their bullpen can hold on to games, because if their offense is scoring this many runs, and this could be from just one blowout, but if their offense has been scoring this many runs, they should be winning more than 7 games, and they shouldn't be losing 5 games. So I'll be interested to see that. The Astros and the Braves are both the 2 bottom teams in the league for runs scored. But the Astros are being gifted an absolutely horrible start from both the Rangers and the Mariners offense too. The Mariners is to be expected. The Rangers, everybody was high on them to be a good offensive team, but they are also lagging behind a little bit. So just some more trends that I look to keep an eye on as the season progresses, because I think if the Astros continue to play that the way they have the last I guess the last 4 innings, and then the way that they played on the Friday, then they should be fine Thursday for the remainder of the season. Again, I am still concerned by some of the early season trends that I've seen, but I think if we can kind of get them hitting good on the road, then they should be decent enough to win the division again. Because again, the pitching, it's reminding me a lot of the Seattle Mariners kind of staff, where almost every guy is disgusting in that rotation, and on any given night they can give you 6 or 7 innings of 1-run ball, any one of those guys. So I think the Astros pitching is gonna be what keeps them in games. And I don't think that the Rangers have the ability to do the same. Now, their offense can be the reason why, they hold on and they're in games late. But 9 out of 10 times, or 7 out of 10 times, the pitcher is winning that battle. Good pitching most of the time, 90% of the time, beats good hitting. So I look forward to seeing how the season progresses with these two teams, and then going into a head-to-head matchup. Obviously how that ends up playing out as well. But the Astros have a big series starting tomorrow against the Mariners. It's going to be a pitching battle. So if you like pitching duels, then tune in to Mariners Astros tomorrow night.
I wanted to mention something that I saw on X this morning. There was a post that came across, and it talked about how the Braves needed to invest in a pitching and hitting lab and hire more data scientists and try to have better player development. So it just kind of got the wheels turning. So I actually reposted it or quoted it rather, and I said that they have developed that are still on the team currently: Ozzy Albies, Austin Riley, Michael Harris II, Spencer Strider, Spencer Swallenbach, and Ronald Acuna Jr. Not to mention the guys that they developed that are gone now, and Dansby Swanson and Freddie Freeman, and all of these other guys that have left. So it's not their player development; it's the fact that the stars that they have left are not playing like stars necessarily, and the stars that are playing well are getting pitched around a lot too, as in Olsen and Ozuna especially. But then I also started thinking as well that obviously everybody knows that they're missing Ronald Acuna Jr. and they're missing Spencer Strider. We all know that. However, they were also missing Sean Murphy, who has all-star capability. They are also missing Reynaldo Lopez now, who was an all-star last year. They're missing their best setup man in Joe Jimenez, who probably could have been an all-star. And now they're also missing Jurickson Profar. So in reality, they're missing potentially 6 all-stars. Does their depth suck? Not really, considering they're missing 6 all-stars. So it's not that their depth is that bad. It's the fact that they have so many guys still out. Now eventually they're going to get all of these back, except probably Reynaldo Lopez. But it's one of those things like you can't really help a lot of injuries. Now, granted, should they have gotten another bullpen arm when they saw that Joe Jimenez went down? Yes. Should they have gotten a depth starter? Yes. However, they tried to do a couple of those things. Those things didn't work out. So it's frustrating as a fan. However, the player development one is that wasn't sitting right with me. I said, no, we've got an issue with guys obviously still being very much hurt, and guys that are stars really not playing like stars, being like Austin Riley and Ozzy Albies and guys like that. So it was just something I wanted to bring up because I was like, I'm not vibing with this, and some people tended to agree with me. So I was like, okay, it's not such a bad take after all.
Needed that public affirmation there, huh, Kirby?
It was one of those things. I was like, it's not a player development issue because we know teams that develop players well. The Astros obviously develop players well. The Braves do. The Dodgers don't. They haven't developed anybody that's been great. Now, guys that they have signed, the Yankees can't develop anybody either.
Nope.
Now, there are some teams that have they're just pitching factories. The Brewers, maybe not
Braves,
this
year.
The Braves,
the
Guardians,
Brewers, yep.
The Mariners now. But it's just, it's one of those things.
Some might consider the Astros.
The Astros. But it's one of those things like when it comes to player development, that's not a weakness for them. Now, I would say that the most concerning thing is the fact that none of their international prospects have really hit lately, which is a problem. Because we saw, obviously, Ozzy Albies hit, Ronald Acuna Jr. hit, and since then it's been nothing. So to me, that's the most concerning part. So, I don't know. It's frustrating as a fan because you want to see that next generation of stars come up, but that's not really happening right now. The last star that we've really seen come up has been Swellenbach, and he was a shortstop in college, and they drafted him as a pitcher. So it's just we're not really sure where the organization's going to go once some of these guys' contracts are up, because right now it looks like they're going to have to go through some kind of rebuild in 4 or 5 years. But we'll see. I don't know. Just curious.
Something else I wanted to talk about was how Mike Trout has had 3 home runs in the last 3 games. So I think it's safe to say Mike Trout is back.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that I always believed, because in the fantasy league that I started with my friends, I took a chance, just on some guy named Mike Trout. He was the last pick in my draft.
He was the last pick
he was
in
the
your
second
draft?
to last pick. So it was just like,
Wow.
taking a chance on a guy. And I think I'm gonna be very grateful that he was still on the board and I picked him last. So Mike Trout having a big second week of the season. So hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully we can see this over 162, because we have not seen MVP Mike Trout in a long time, and it would be great to see him, in right field now, giving it his all and making another MVP run, because he's that dude.
For his own legacy, Major League Baseball needs to see him do a couple of things. They need to see him have at least 2 to 3 more amazing Mike Trout years. They also need to see him play in a playoff series. I don't know if they'll ever get that
Again.
but for his own legacy, man, I would love to see him actually compete at the highest level besides just the WBC, because right now that is his biggest moment of his career, because the Angels haven't played any meaningful playoff games since
You're right. Yeah.
2014. I mean, that was his only playoff appearance. I mean, I was in college then. I've been out of college for 11 years. I mean, come
Jeez,
on.
you're old.
I'm just saying, like, it's ridiculous. I mean, I would love to see the Angels do well and, at least make a run at the postseason, at least give them something to play for. But, I mean, they've been historically bad. So it's been disappointing for him. I mean, obviously he's not crying about it because, his contract's like $426 million or something.
Mm-hmm. And he refuses any and absolutely all trade speculation. He refuses to acknowledge it. He is loyal to the Angels. So, I don't think he's ever going to be traded. I don't think that a contract like his would be bad to take on, because he is worth that money. He on a good team, he would get butts and seats. Playing for a good organization, he would bring people to the stadium. He is that type of player.
I mean,
but for the Angels,
the thing about it this way, Mike Trout is a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. Okay, we all know that. He loves the Eagles and he loves the weather. Those are his 2 hobbies. Okay, he's a boring guy overall. Can you see a world where the Angels want to cut payroll a little bit and they're like, you know what? We'll take on Castellanos on the rest of his deal, and maybe you give us like a couple of your better prospects, and we'll trade you Mike Trout. I think that the Phillies obviously and the Angels would possibly consider that if the Angels wanted to cut some payroll, because Castellanos is on an expiring contract, and Nick Castellanos obviously is a terrible right fielder. I would sure hate to be a team in the NL East like the Braves having to see a lineup of Turner, Trout, Harper, Schwarber, Realmuto, Marsh, and so on. That would be a very potent lineup. So I mean, I can see a world where those sides would want to work together, but I just don't think it ever happens. I just have this feeling in my mind, and I'm probably dead wrong, that like Mike Trout really doesn't. He doesn't really. I don't want to say he doesn't care. That's not really fair to say, but it's like maybe he doesn't want that added pressure of like having to perform, because like I would want to be on a team that at least competes, and clearly that hasn't been a priority to him. So I don't know if it's just like utter loyalty to the Angels, or maybe he just enjoys having an extra month of the season off. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on Mike Trout?
I mean, in 3 postseason games, he's got a .038 batting average. So maybe he doesn't like the pressure. Maybe he's not meant for the bright lights. I mean, he's got 15 plate appearances, and he doesn't really have much to show for it. So he's got 1 hit. That's it. So, and that 1 hit was a home run. So, maybe he can't perform under pressure. Now, it was only 3 games, so don't know.
We honestly may never know.
It's not a large enough sample size to tell. It's not like he's Jose Altuve and he's had, like 58 opportunities playing in the postseason. He's had 1, and that was 3 games. So, it's just not a big enough sample size to really tell for sure, but we're just going off of what we have. And what we have is a 3-game sample size. And with that 3-game sample size, he's hit .083. So, I mean, and he's also just never demanded a trade like other players have to contenders. So I feel like if you truly wanted to cement yourself as the greatest, after being with a mediocre organization for so long, you would say, hey, I want to go and solidify my legacy, because his contract is guaranteed. He's getting paid,
Right.
whether he's on the Angels, whether he's on the Phillies, whether he's on the Astros, whether he's in Toronto, the Padres. He's getting paid no matter what. The team is going to absorb his contract. Why would he not demand a trade? He holds all the cards. He's Mike freaking Trout. You're not going to piss off Mike Trout. So, I mean, it's...
Can you imagine if he came out like in mid-July and was like, I really want to go to a contender? Dude, that would be the talk of Major League Baseball. Especially if he's having another Mike Trout season. And then you would have all this
if he's healthy,
of all these different teams that could or would want to trade for him. Philly's obviously being number 1.
Oh.
I mean,
oh.
and tell me that Steve Cohen wouldn't be willing to give up whatever to go get Mike Trout and just move Soto to DH now and let Trout play.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He would 100%.
Interesting theory. The Boston Red Sox have a very good farm system at the moment.
Yeah.
There's also an American League Central team that was ranked number 1 in farm system.
Yeah, that's a long shot, buddy. Your owner is not spending that money.
Chris Illich, please.
You are Delulu if you think that your ownership group is
Listen,
absorbing that contract.
All I'm going to say is we have a hole in the outfield right now, and we have a left fielder who can play center field. Make it happen, guys.
I mean,
yeah. I don't think that's happening after Javi Baez.
Yeah. Oof. I can't imagine it. Having an outfield of Riley Green, Mike Trout, and Kerry Carpenter, that might be the scariest outfield in the MLB.
Those guys just don't have the names like some of the other guys do, But of course, okay,
that's true.
A team like the Dodgers would be in on him. They were in on Soto. They offered more money than the Mets.
Yeah.
I mean, who's to say that
That's
they
true.
wouldn't be in on him? He wouldn't even have to move. He could live where he currently lives. I mean, I hate even thinking about it, but that would absolutely be a possibility.
I would. If that happened, I think I just end the season. I mean, what? What are you gonna do about that lineup? I mean, we saw Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani with the Angels. There was no one behind them.
Bro, they would do all
the Dodgers have
they
an entire
runs themselves, and the rest of the team did nothing. And they would lose.
The Dodgers have an entire. They have an entire all-star roster behind. They would have an entire all-star roster behind Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. That would just be unfair.
I mean, honestly, if you're Dave Roberts, you could just plug and play. Like it wouldn't even matter what the lineup looked like, because you would have Shohei. They're gonna leave him. They would leave him at leadoff, and then you would have like Betts, Trout, Freeman, Teoscar. I mean, right there. How are you going to handle those 5? You're not. And then Oakland, you've got.
I'm pretty sure you just named like an all-star team from 2 or 3 years ago with the the first 5 guys you named.
Well, I mean, you would want, and then you would have another MVP on that team as well. So instead of having 3 former MVPs or 4 former MVPs, if you include Kershaw, you would have 5, which would just be crazy to think about. So, I mean, obviously we're all just speculating, but I would honestly love for him just to come out and say, I want to be on a contender. Just say it. Just say it. And if you don't want to, that's fine. If you just want to be an Angel your whole life and be loved and have your number retired, then that's great. But if you really want to be a contender, come out and say that. So, I don't know. I would be so interested to see who would want to trade for him, or who could trade for him. I would just love it for him. I would love to see him get out of there, especially if they're struggling once again. Now, if they're playing well at the trade deadline, that's different. But that typically has not been the case. So
I can almost guarantee that will not be the case. So
yeah, I don't disagree at all. So anyway, what else do we want to talk about? That was a very nice talk about Mike Trout. Love the guy. Just want to see him on a good team.
Bring it back to the Astros. The Astros are getting torpedo bats, apparently. I think they were 3 weeks too late on that. But they should have a shipment arriving at Minute Maid Park during their next homestand. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I said what I said, and I know what I said. So, yes, I look to see the Astros offense bounce back at Minute Maid Park with the new torpedo bats. I think that this will help guys like Jeremy Pena, who get jammed a lot, and hit ground balls on the infield. Hopefully, it'll help with the barrel percentage and then also just maybe lifting the ball a little bit more. But I'm just like really concerned about where the organization is at as a whole, because the team used to be, innovative. They used to lead the league in innovation with their defensive alignments, with exactly, and they are 3 weeks late on a trend that was innovative, and that just kind of tells me that the organization really has just abandoned the entire analytical movement and gone away from that. And are just relying on the eye test, and sometimes they rely on stats. They're relying on advanced stats, which are pretty basic now because advanced stats have been around for 4, 5, 6 years now, and they're not looking any deeper. They're not looking to get more creative. They're just scratching the surface, and that's kind of a byproduct of getting rid of James Click after winning the World Series, just all of these moves since the 2022 season have led to the Astros just moving away and not being as innovative as they were before. They were so innovative that they were stealing signs and banging a freaking trash can. And now we can't even get a legal torpedo bat in the Astros locker room at Minute Maid Park before the season starts. We have to wait 3 weeks into the season before we get this new advanced, tool. Come on. What are we doing as an organization that we are not leading the league in innovation anymore? It screams, just abandoning the analytic movement, which got us here in the first place. And it does not make sense to me.
It's the MLB's version of the Treaty of Versailles. So.
I think it's interesting. I actually listened to a podcast about the torpedo bats a little bit, and apparently they tried to come on the scene several years ago, but people weren't really buying into it. But to see them actually buying into it now, it's really interesting. I know the Braves have an order out there. I don't know where it is. It must be on a slow boat from China. But it's nuts to me. But also too, I just don't understand how it took almost 100 years for us to figure out, like, gee, if we put the wood a little more dense where it should be for this guy, because this is where he typically makes contact with the ball, then he'll be a little better off. I'm not sure, with all of the astrophysicists in the country, that nobody has ever taken a liking to this. To me, it's different. It doesn't. Because, like, if you've ever swung an aluminum bat, you know that you can get away with pretty much hitting the ball anywhere on the barrel and making great contact. That is not the case with a wood bat. If you don't hit it pretty much squared up or barrel it, for one, it hurts, and two, you're not going to have a great result. So for them to have figured out, like, oh, well, this is where the wood needs to be densest. So when you make contact here, which is where you typically make contact anyway, then your ball's going to have a better success rate. You're going to do better. So to me, I just don't know why it seemed to have taken so long. I don't understand that.
Well, I don't think it's very hard to understand. Baseball is a sport where a lot of the players of now, the players of past, are very set in tradition and their old ways. They're very stubborn when it comes to changing the game. So it's no surprise to me that this took so long to be adopted, because I'm sure that someone 10, 12 years ago did think of this. And as you mentioned, it was thought of and it just didn't catch on. But the sport as a whole is just so stubborn to progress, to adaptation, to working with the current technology that it has provided. It is so stubborn that we've had the opportunity to have robo umpires for 5+ years, and we are not getting it until next season, potentially, if there is a next season. So it's really not confusing to me why this has been taking so long to adopt. And of course it blows up because the Yankees of all teams are the ones that take advantage of it. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on your take. So,
I mean, I totally agree with you about how baseball just lacks any kind of progress. I get it. I totally get it. I think one thing, Joe, you mentioned this earlier, and I was just going to circle back to it. So you talked about Cam Smith for a minute, and you talked about his approach. Drake Baldwin also has a very similar approach. Now, I know that a lot of, I don't want to say kids nowadays, but yes, kids nowadays are taught a different approach than when I was little. Okay, obviously, I'm not that old, but a lot of us were taught like first pitch fastball, center cut. We're not taking that. We're not having deep counts if we don't have to. We're not missing the first fastball because a lot of time that's the best pitch that we're going to get. So we would sit dead red on that, and we would hit it well, and we would be on base. Kids nowadays are taught different to have deeper at bats, to take more pitches, to take more walks. The walk is more valued now than it ever has been in our game. So and with WOBA and OPS and all of these different stats that people like, walks are just, they're so valued now compared to what they used to be. Don't get me wrong. I love a good approach at the plate. I love good plate discipline. But there's just something that's just that I don't like about, like you said, guys being too patient. Because I think eventually you've got to be able to protect the plate as well. And if you're not swinging at anything that's relatively close, you're going to strike out a lot too. Now, once again, that's a whole nother issue that we have, is that strikeouts are not deemed as bad as they used to be. Strikeout used to be one of the worst things you could do. It's not like that nowadays. It's not as devalued as what it once was. So the difference in approach to me from what these kids in the minors coming up to the big leagues are taught is very interesting. And how different things are valued now compared to what they used to be. So I don't know. It's just something that I've been kind of pondering on.
all right, well,
Anything else y'all want to talk about? That was a pretty good pod.
Yeah. I'll ask Joe a question.
okay.
So in your league so far for fantasy, who's been your MVP?
Well,
Let's do a hitter MVP and a pitching MVP, because
our league has not officially started. It starts
Okay.
tomorrow. Tomorrow is the
okay.
first
fair.
the first day that we are keeping score. Now, we had a draft on Tuesday or Monday. I think it was Monday. No, it was Tuesday. We had a draft on Tuesday, so the league did not officially start until tomorrow. So
Okay, fair.
have not gotten any records yet.
Mm.
All right. Well, who do you anticipate your best pitcher, best hitter to be?
On my team,
Yes.
I don't even know my roster. Let me pull that up real quick. I think I drafted Aaron Judge, so probably Aaron Judge.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you already missed out on big points.
And then, yeah, you're right. I missed out big time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where is my fantasy team? I think, okay, so for my hitter, I think Aaron Judge will be, my star player. I think Mike Trout has the potential to also be star player. And then
True.
let's see, my rotation, my pitching staff consists of Cole Reagans, Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown, Logan Webb, Jack Flaherty, Ryan Walker, and then Kodai Senga. And then I have Freddie Peralta on the bench right now. So I think it's a pretty good rotation.
It's a pretty good rotation, yeah.
I don't know who my ace will be. It might be Logan Webb, honestly. I mean, he was a monster against the Astros on Tuesday, so I'm not sure. I might be a little stupid for saying that, but I think I have a pretty solid roster. So.
All right, everybody.
Okay.
Well, thank you for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it. Remember, throw us a like, and we will catch you on the next one. We would really appreciate that. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Throwing Partners Podcast. And remember also that we are on Apple Podcasts as well. We love those words of affirmation. So if you could leave us a 5-star review, telling everybody how much you love us, that would be amazing. So thank you, everyone, once again. The support's been great. The views have been great. The new subs have been great. So it's just been fantastic. And we're looking forward to another great season. We're 2 weeks in now. So we'll see you guys next Sunday.
Let us know in the comments what your favorite trend so far in the 2025 season has been. 3 weeks in. Let us know. We'd like to hear it.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thanks, everybody.